What up? It's your boy T-Bear on Reaction. So today is Music Monday. Now, about to do a video. I'm gonna let you know ahead of time. I originally was gonna do it last week and everything, but I was pressed for time and everything. Reason I'm saying it because I feel like I feel kind of bad that I have to do this only for for an unfortunate reason that happened over the weekend. So about to react to a video about one of the iconic hip hop collective that changed hip hop around the late 80s, early 90s as well too, and that's none other than the Native Tongue crew, Native Tongue movement, where it featured the likes of Tribe Called Quest, the Younger Brothers, and De La Soul, as well as many others, including Black Sheep, Chia Lee, and many others. The reason why I said I'm mentioning unfortunate situation. So this past weekend, other than my Eagles losing the Super Bowl, yeah, I know we blew it bad in the second half. So shout out to the Eagles for having a good season, and congrats to the Kansas City Chiefs. And I gotta put this on right now. One, for the video, and two, in honor of what the announcement made. 1/3 of the iconic hip hop trio De La Soul, Trugoy the Dove, or Dave, sadly passed away at the age of 54. I'm trying to see if it is any horse of death, but anyway, no cause that haven't been disclosed. But the news broke yesterday. True, who's recently gone by his real name Dave, was known as Plug 2, has been open about his bout with congestive heart failure in recent years. And De La Soul's 2017 royalty case video, Trugoy candidly spoke about how his alien health kept him from performing. So yeah, and he did miss that, and then he wasn't present at the performance with his fellow members Paul Stillness and Maceo, and the Grammys hip hop tribute as well too last week. But he was there, but he wasn't on stage, so I'm wondering that might have been because of it what he's been going through though. But yeah, 1/3 of the incredible crew, one of the lyricists, along with Paul as well too. Maceo was a DJ / producer as well too. The group was made a prominent debut in 1988, and one of the second groups to be part of the movement. First being Jungle Bros in 87, second in them, and third being Tribe Called Quest in 89 and 90 as well too. But they best known for hits like Me, Myself, and I, Paho and Malone's Ring, How You Doing, Ego Tripping, my all-time favorite, Break It Down, because my favorite sample as well too, as well as Stakes Is High, and many other singles as well too. Oh yeah, Saturday Roller Skate Jam as well too, and Buddy as well too, along with the rest of the Native Tongue crew as well too. But yeah, R.I.P. to Trugoy the Dove, aka Dave, aka Trugoy the Dove, aka Paul Plug 2 as well too. But now we're gonna honor him as well too. Yeah, we check out how him, along with his crew De La Soul, and many others, including the Tribe Called Quest and Jungle Brothers, changed hip hop, along with many other members of the movement, such as Black Sheep, Chia Lee, Moni Love, Queen Latifah, Someone the Way, and backed by producer Chris Paul, who was the DJ and producer of Texas Sonic, who started it as well too. So without further ado, this is the Native Tongue movement changing in hip hop. Let's get it. In honor of Dave from De La Soul.
In the late 80s and early 90s, a group of artists, musicians, MCs, DJs, and producers formed a collective called the Native Tongues.
There's many more.
This collective included hip-hop groups like the Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, A Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, Moni Love, Black Sheep, as well as associated groups like Brand Nubian, Chia Lee, the Beat Nuts, the Bush Babies,
Beat Nuts too. Beat Nuts too, and Fushnikin. All right, I know. I knew Fushnikin because they was associated with Fife, but I know New School what they associated with Tribe as well too. But Brand Nubian, because that's what his style. I knew about Chia Lee, but I know Beat Nuts and the Bush Baby was associated. That's pretty awesome though.
Schnickens, and leaders of the new school. The native tongues represent an expansion within hip-hop, a new musical subgenre with a new focus. It's an incredibly influential period of music history, inspiring future artists like Pharrell, Outkast, Kanye, Jay Dilla, the Black Eyed Peas, and the Soulquarians collective of the late 90s. Oh, and also, it's some of the best music ever recorded.
Facts.
Today, we're diving into the Native Tongues Collective, the story of their formation, the significance of these classic albums, breaking down samples, seeing their direct influence on music in the years since, and showing how this movement expanded.
So we can a whole lot in one video. This is pretty awesome. Great way to start the video.
Entire
Start
hip-hop
Music Monday.
genre. The story begins in 1988 and the expansion of hip hop in multiple directions.
So it was 88. Cause I thought, I realized I say 87. I'm overloading. The reason why I say 87, cause I think Straight Outta Jungle. I thought Straight Outta Jungle. Jungle Boy's first name came out 87, but I was wrong 88. So that's on me.
On one side in LA, we have the release of the gangster rap classic Straight Outta Compton. This album gave a rough, unfiltered look at life in Compton, gang culture, and the result of Nixon's war on drugs. NWA openly said the police and called themselves the world's most dangerous group. This album solidified West Coast hip hop as a subgenre, and the overall influence of NWA members like Eazy-E, Ice Cube, and Dr. Dre on hip hop, American culture, and the world is difficult to overstate.
Yep.
Now, here's the other side of that coin. Just a month or two before we have the release of what would go
Now I'm gonna double check with them because the Jabroski is the single I was thinking of that first came out. So yeah, 88. They did a demo at 87, but the song came out 88. So all right, I was close, slightly close, because I was thinking of the demo that came out 87, but the single came out 88. But I was right of them being the first ones.
On to be considered the first album of the Native Tongues Collective with the release of Straight Out the Jungle by the Jungle Brothers. By contrast, the Native Tongues is much more laid back, lighthearted, and more positive Afrocentric themes. And to hear Pharrell describe it, he says it set so many of us free.
Nice.
Both of these albums, Straight Outta Compton and Straight Out the Jungle, dealt with the reality of racial disparity in the United States, but approached it in very different ways. These albums splinter off into two different directions, but right here in 1988, let's have some fun.
Educated man. You see, they call me a star, but that's not what I am. I'm a jungle brother, a true brother, and I've been to many places.
All right, before I go further, I had an idea who the channel was, but who is this? He about to get subscribed just the fact that he, one, a DJ, and two, killing it, digging the greats. Okay, well, this digging the greats, you got some new subscriber for one. I like the little match we're going, man. My kind of DJ. And he rocking somewhat of an old set I used to rock was the DJI SX. He got like he got the third, he got the Mach 3, but still.
Suckers running hot. Africa's in the house, they get petrified. You wanna know why? I'll tell you why. Because they can't
take advantage of the stem too.
So let's talk about the Jungle Brothers. The JBs are made up of Africa Baby Bam, Mike G, and DJ Sammy B, and we're in multiple ways the perfect group to continue to push the existing genre of hip-hop in a new direction. Mike G cites groups like the Cold Crush Brothers and Soul Sonic Force as major influences. They had the best messages with unity and everything. That's what it was all about.
I figured they were like kind of like a offspring of the Zulu Nation that was like the first like collective or whatever collective in hip hop as well too, but yeah, I figured that.
To me, they encompass the true spirit and meaning of hip-hop. Africa Baby Bam gets his moniker from Africa Bambaataa, another hip-hop pioneer, whose influence can be heard directly on the Jungle Brothers electro house track, I'll House You. And then there's Mike G's uncle, the legendary DJ Red Alert. Red Alert was a radio disc jockey at 98.7 KISS FM in New York, a crucial part of the hip-hop scene, and a mentor to the Jungle Brothers. Red Alert gave the group not only radio airtime, but advice and feedback, knowledge of how to keep a crowd entertained while performing, and a peek behind the hip-hop curtain in a way that had a big impact on the Jungle Brothers. As Africa explains, hanging out with Red, you got to meet other, quote, superstars and saw how it had went to their head already. How they were acting all silly and wearing silly clothes. Red would look at them and laugh to himself. If I had met those stars by myself, I probably would have been blown away. But through Red, we were much more grounded. Hanging out with him was definitely a huge influence. Perhaps this is why the Jungle Brothers weren't afraid to come out of the gate in khaki safari outfits, wandering around the jungle in their music video. DJ Red Alert was also a member of Africa Bambaataa's Universal Zulu Nation, an organization promoting unity and
DJ Red Alert. I'm thinking of Paul, but yeah, Red Alert was part of the Zulu Nation.
Cultural awareness through hip-hop. The Zulu Nation influence can be seen not only in the Jungle Brothers, but throughout other Native Tongues groups. Red Alert is a crucial part of not only hip-hop history, but the native tongues especially, as he gave new artists like A Tribe Called Quest, Queen Latifah, and Black Sheep their first radio airplay.
Nice.
But we'll talk about them in just a moment. Before we do, we gotta talk about the next member of the native tongues. De La Soul is made up of Paz the Noose, Trugoy, who now goes by Dave, and Maceo, 3 friends who met in high school in the Amityville area of Long Island. The group formed in 1988, and soon a chance encounter with the Jungle Brothers would lead to a collaboration. As Dave recalled, the Native Tongues came about where basically we had a show together in Boston. We had a natural love for the art and a natural love for each other on how we put stuff together. So we invited the Jungle Brothers to a session, and when they hooked up with us, we happened to be doing Buddy. It wasn't business, it wasn't for a chick. It was just trading ideas and just seeing what you're doing.
Nice.
Bottom line, it was just having fun. Now, we'll talk about the song Buddy, as well as the crucial third founding group of the Native Tongues, but before we do, let's talk about De La Soul's debut album, 3 Feet High. The sound and lyrical themes on this album are similar to the Jungle Brothers. It's very lighthearted, playful, and more laid back and fun. And the group's specific location allowed them to flourish in their own style. Dave recalls viewing hip-hop from afar in Amityville, and that if they had all grown up in the Bronx, De La Soul would have turned out very differently. After forming De La Soul together, the group linked up with the most popular DJ and producer in town, Prince Paul, who was also a part of the hip-hop band Stetsasonic. This group would pave the way for the Roots, incorporating live instrumentation.
I did say Prince Paul, not DJ Paul. I think about it, but yeah, make sure.
Sampling, beatboxing, and a variety of musical styles. But when it came to Stetsasonic, Prince Paul felt that a lot of his production ideas were too juvenile for the group. Producing with De La Soul allowed him to have total control of the music, trying out everything they could think of. And while Potts looks back on the recording sessions for 3 Feet High very positively, praising Prince Paul for his ability to be open, make mistakes, and not be afraid to start over, Prince Paul has said that from his side, he was figuring out a lot of it as he was going, and describes it as the blind leading the blind. 3 Feet High and Rising features extensive use of sampling, pulling from...
Well, if you thought it was like Blind You Lie, it definitely was a beautiful mistake, because that album was awesome, and the production on there was top notch as well too. Definitely innovative for the time, as in 1988-89 it was very innovative.
Artists such as Johnny Cash, Steely Dan, Hall & Oates, and the Turtles. Take the song The Magic Number. This makes use of 9 different samples, including Johnny Cash, the Fatback Band, James Brown, Run DMC, and Schoolhouse Rock. The end result is amazing, and this open use of sampling led to an incredible album. But because of sampling laws, a couple things happened. For one, there were lawsuits like when the Turtles sued. It was over a short sample included in the interlude Transmitting Live from Mars that De La Soul forgot to mention to the label, so it never got cleared. The Turtles caught it and sued successfully for $100,000. Sorry, side tangent. It's going to be so quick. So, De La Soul's 3 Feet High and Rising is the result of a great group going into the lab and not worrying about it, just making art. This is a classic album, but because of sampling laws, lawsuits like this, and label issues, it's been unavailable on streaming, so locked away from modern ears, leaving a huge gap in music history. Fortunately, this is about to change. March 3rd, 2023, their full discography will be available on streaming. That's great news. But
wow. And this has been announced before we lost Trugoy. What a way to honor him, his legacy as well too with that.
Imagine if the sampling laws were different and allowed for blanket licensing. Imagine what art could get made. Imagine how much better.
Chris Rakim's song "Lawyer" could have been out a little bit better. We had a better version of it though, even though that people say would happen. For that fortunate situation wouldn't happen, which ended up be turned to the Wu-Tang Clan. But we never know.
These videos would be if I could openly use De La Soul's music. I actually shot a segment where I took the Schoolhouse Rock sample, sped it up, and turned it into The Magic Number. But YouTube puts a full block on it so the video can't be seen. That's what I'm talking about. Music history gaps. I know this is the game I've chosen to play, but come on. Alright, side tangent over. It's through De La Soul that we get into the third core group of the Native Tongues. One night, Africa Baby Band with the Jungle Brothers called his friend who was in another hip-hop group, telling him that he had to come over and meet this new group called De La Soul. It was 2 in the morning, but he went over there and met them. The guy's name? Q-Tip, from a group that called themselves Quest.
Or MC Love Child, they say his original rap name.
Look, I know right now you're like, this white guy is f***ing up. Oh yeah, I love the group that prefers to go by the name of Quest. But that was the name of the group at that point, just Quest. It was Africa Baby Bam who would tell them that they should change their name to the now famous A Tribe Called Quest. Q-Tip recalled the first time he went over to meet De La Soul while they were hanging out with the Jungle Brothers. I went there, met them, and it was just love at first sight. It was disgusting. In hip-hop, it praises individualism. I think that's the main achievement of the Native Tongues. It just showed people could come together. A Tribe Called Quest was made up of Q-Tip, Phife Dawg, Ali Shaheed Muhammad, and Jeroen White, who was only with the group for the first album. One thing that the Native Tongues introduced...
Well, somewhat. He was behind the scenes through the years, but still.
And Tribe especially leaned in heavily on is sampling jazz records. Like take the song Daylight by the Roy Ayers Project Ramp.
Yup. Shout out to DJ Furio.
Pitch that up. Now you've got more jazzy or hip-hop. These three groups, the Jungle Brothers, De La Soul, and A Tribe Called Quest, formed a loose collective, influencing each other's sound with uniquely jazzy samples, mellower grooves, positive, playful, Afrocentric lyrics, and even having guest verses on each other's songs. Each group released multiple albums, further carving out this scene, which would grow to encompass other groups and artists. More on that in a minute. These three groups began hanging out more and working on each other's albums with no goal other than to make great music. As Phife recalled, when Tip and the Jungle Brothers met up with Daylight, it just seemed like they had known each other for years. We were just kids back then, and it was just a family affair, not like a marketing thing. It's like in elementary school, on the weekends you have a sleepover, but the sleepover with Native Tongues was in a recording studio instead. People would just roll by other people's sessions, and we'd be in there all night, eating Chinese food and working. We had fun being around each other, and that was really the main thing. But these first three albums, Straight Out the Jungle in 1988, 3 Feet High and Rising in 1989, and People's Instinctive Travels in the Paths of Rhythm in 1990, marked the beginning of the Native Tongues Collective, an expansion within the genre of hip-hop, and a new beginning for what was possible with music as an art form. These three groups had a massive impact on not only the hip-hop that was made throughout the 90s, but all music throughout the 90s, and remains influential and relevant today. For instance, you can't have this.
Yup.
Without this.
Nice.
Can't have this. Without this.
Now I won't say that I'm a lady's lover, but if I was, you'd be under my cover. And not only that, you'd be under my wing. I mean, you'd be doing the nasty.
And you can't have this.
Yup.
Without this.
Yup. Another.
All of the artists and producers of the more modern songs that I just played, Outkast, Pharrell, Kendrick, have cited the Native Tongues as an influence on them. But it's not even just the music that was different, and it's not even just the lyrics. While groups like Run DMC had worn gold chains and Adidas, and NWA sported gold chains and Raiders jackets, the Native Tongues went for a more cross-cultural vibe, especially in the beginning, sporting colorful African prints, peace signs, and flowers. While other hip-hop groups like NWA met the dominant American culture, read white capitalist, with direct clashing and confrontation, the Native Tongues took a different approach, rejecting it and instead focusing on themes and images from the African diaspora. I'm not black, so I can't speak to this impact and what this meant to have this kind of representation. So I'll point to a few excellent, powerful stories I've come across. Pharrell says the Native Tongues set him free. In the book, The Native Tongues Review, Iamos Murad talks all about the Jungle Brothers and how the first line of Straight Out the Jungle, educated man from the motherland, is all he wanted to be. Hanif Abdurraqib wrote an entire book as a love letter to A Tribe Called Quest and what they meant to him and a generation of African Americans. The name Native Tongues is pulled from the song African Cry by the New Birth from 1972, with lyrics that list out what was taken from Africans as a result of the transatlantic slave trade, including took away our native tongue, taught the English to our young. The Native Tongues expanded hip-hop by introducing jazz samples, talking about Afrocentric themes, and showing that hip-hop was not a monolith. It's a completely different reaction from what was happening in the world in the late 80s and early 90s, and resonated with a lot of people. Also, again, it's just some of the best music ever recorded.
It was.
And there are so many Native Tongues members we haven't talked about yet. Queen Latifah was another member of the Native Tongues, releasing her debut album All Hail the Queen in 1989, which includes production from Prince Paul and KRS-One. The song Mama Gave Birth to the Soul Children features De La Soul, and Ladies First features Moni Love, another Native Tongues member hailing from London who released her own debut album Down to Earth in 1990. For the song Mama Gave Birth to the Soul Children, Queen Latifah teamed up with not only De La Soul but also producer Prince Paul, who took this sample
and
turned it into
Hello, I'm Queen Latifah. How you
Well, Jalen, baby, she had it.
I hope that you're willing. I want to introduce you to a platform Mama Gave Birth to the Soul.
There are other guest appearances of Native Tongues members on each other's songs as well. The Jungle Brothers' Black is Black features Q-Tip, as does
Black is
Description
Black.
off of 3 Feet High. Oh, a roller skating jam named Saturdays by De La features Q-Tip and Video Mojica, who is featured on several other Native Tongues songs. But the song with the most original Native Tongues members at once is Buddy off of De La's 3 Feet High, which features Tribe, the JBs, Latifah, and Moni Love. Oh, or take the group Black Sheep. In their incredibly catchy song, The Choice Is Yours, they carry on a Native Tongues tradition by featuring some upright bass. Now, I'm an upright bass player as well, so I'm a little biased. This is the way to my heart. But 1975 McCoy Tyner is this jazz song. All of a sudden, in the middle, there's a bass cadenza. Listen to that. Ah, it's so good. I love upright bass. Loop that. And we get... I mean, come on. There's still so much to cover. Leaders of the New School, whose most famous member is Busta Rhymes, Brand Nubian, the Beatnuts, Chi Ali, Fu Schnickens, the Bush Babies. Not only that, the other members already listed also released other albums.
Like I said, the only one I never knew that was like part of it was Beatnuts, and the Bush was associated or affiliates with it was Beatnuts and the Bush Babies. New Fu Schnickens was kind of because of Five Dog, Leader of the New School, because they was tight with Chocolate Quest. Chi Ali, I knew it because he has on his album, and Brand Nubian is obvious because their style as well too.
During this time. And then there's another crucial player who had a huge influence on the sound of many of these records and many records since. Bob Power engineered and mixed many Native Tongues artists, including Tribe, De La Soul, Fu Schnickens, the Bush Babies, and has also worked with groups like Stetsasonic, D-Light, D'Angelo, The Roots, Erykah Badu, Common, Slum Village, Talib Kweli, and so many more. But by 1993, the Native Tongues seemed to be, if not disbanding, cooling down a bit. The Jungle Brothers' third album, JB's with the Remedy, had a lot of label trouble and wasn't received particularly well. Q-Tip has said that Tribe's second album, The Low End Theory, broke them out of the Native Tongue stereotype, and on De La Soul's song In the Woods from Balloon Mind State, Pause the News says that native is dead.
Damn.
But like every good movement, the Native Tongues influence still couldn't be stopped. De La Soul's fourth album, Stakes is High from 1996, introduced a guest MC, Mos Def, who would go on to collaborate with Talib Kweli in 1999's Black Star album, as well as solo albums after that. Another track features Common, who, when releasing his second solo album, Resurrection, in 1994, said that he and producer No ID tried to, quote, make some cold-blooded that can get played with a Tribe Called Quest. And then there was Jay Dilla, who joined Q-Tip and Ali Shaheed Muhammad of Tribe to form the Ummah, a production collective who produced for Busta Rhymes, Janet Jackson, later Tribe stuff, and propelled Jay Dilla to a new level. Everyone I just mentioned from this next generation was affiliated with the Soulquarians, the collective formed in the late 90s with Questlove and D'Angelo that carried on what the Native Tongues started in many ways. But that's already in a whole bunch of other videos. Other people influenced by the Native Tongues include The Far Side, Dilated Peoples, Diggable Planets, Lauryn Hill, Pharrell, Lupe Fiasco, Kanye. Andre 3000 said Outkast wanted to be a street tribe, like a hood tribe. Will.i.am said the recipe for every Black Eyed Peas international hit is a roller skating jam called Saturdays by De La Soul. The Native Tongues expanded hip-hop, music, and by extension, all of culture in many ways. There's still so much to talk about in each of these groups, albums, and songs, so keep an eye out for more Native Tongues deep dive videos coming soon. In the meantime, check out the Spotify listening guide in the description. It's got every song I mentioned in this video. The Native Tongues influence is massive, and their style and impact was carried on by many different artists, including the Soulquarians Collective.
Okay.
You'll have to watch this video.
All right, cool. I'm definitely going to check that out. I try to pause it. In case you want, I did try to pause it. So hopefully, if you hear something, that's my fault. I did try to pause it. But anyway, This was good. This was good. Sorry. Again, I tried to pause it, and they won't let me do it. Anyway, it's still playing. God darn it. Me ain't gonna do it. I do apologize, but stuff's still playing. I was trying to pause it in time, but it didn't let me. So anyway, this was a good video right here. I'm definitely gonna check out that Soulquarian one. That's probably next week or sometime another week though. But other than that, once again, R.I.P. Dave from De La Soul, Trugoy, Dove, Plug 2, all the acronyms as well too. Your legacy is definitely going to live on, especially with the new full discography getting released real soon as well too, though. Because remember they also had like a what was it? Not to GoFundMe. What was it? Kickstarter, something like that for albums, as well too, something like that. Not too long ago as well too. But yeah. RIP to him as well too, and shout out to the Native Tongue crew as well too, the folks that been influenced to a lot of artists as well too, as mentioned, including the Soul Aquarium, we want to check out possibly next week or sometime soon. But other than that, if you like my reaction, like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's your boy T-Bear signing off. One love.